Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, where we dive into the twists and turns of the automotive world. Today, we're tackling Donald Trump's latest salvo in the global trade arena, a high-stakes demand for the European Union to ramp up purchases of U.S. oil and gas. With tariffs as his bargaining chip, Trump is shaking up industries far beyond energy, leaving automakers from ICE titans to EV trailblazers wondering what's next. Let's unpack the 7 critical points that reveal just how deeply this could impact the future of EVs and the global automotive industry. Number 7. Energy trade imbalance, the spark of a showdown. At the heart of Trump's ultimatum is a staggering $208.7 billion trade deficit between the US and the EU as of 2023. Despite the EU increasing its imports of US energy, accounting for 47% of LNG and 17% of crude oil by early 2024, Trump is pushing harder, aiming to assert US dominance in the global energy market. This tug-of-war carries seismic implications for the automotive world. Higher tariffs on EU exports, including vehicles, could send costs soaring and disrupt supply chains, ultimately shrinking the range of choices available to consumers. German and Italian automakers, deeply reliant on the US market, would face steep uphill battles, possibly prompting retaliatory tariffs on American-made EVs and components. For EV enthusiasts, the news isn't great either. Trade instability often leads to decreased investments in electric mobility. With automakers juggling higher tariffs and retaliatory policies, funding for EV innovation could be slashed, threatening the green transition many have been championing. Number 6. Tariffs, a roadblock for the automotive sector. Trump's tariff threats loom large over European automakers like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. Currently paying a 2.5% tariff on exports to the US, they could soon see that number quadruple. This increase would undoubtedly inflate vehicle costs, with consumers absorbing the blow. On the flip side, American automakers might gain a competitive edge, benefiting from reduced competition from European brands. While this could spur domestic EV adoption, it could also shift automakers' focus away from global electric mobility efforts, as companies scramble to mitigate trade uncertainties. The bigger worry? Limited consumer options and skyrocketing prices might push manufacturers to consider localized production, a monumental undertaking in cost and logistics. Meanwhile, frustrated buyers may delay purchasing decisions, stalling progress in the EV market. Number 5. Green energy goals in turmoil. Europe's pivot from Russian energy post-Ukraine conflict has driven up US LNG imports, but Trump's insistence on further purchases threatens to derail the EU's commitment to renewable energy and carbon neutrality by 2050. This predicament places automakers in a tight spot. Should they align with Europe's green aspirations or brace for an energy policy roller coaster? The uncertainty could erode government incentives for EVs, leaving car makers grappling with reduced consumer interest and tighter budgets for clean tech innovations. Still, there's a silver lining for the adventurous. This crisis might fast-track breakthroughs in alternative energy tech. Automakers exploring hydrogen fuel cells and next-gen batteries could find themselves ahead of the curve, proving that disruption sometimes breeds opportunity. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now let's shift gears and steer towards our next point. Number 4. Inflationary shocks to the system. The ripples from tariffs would inevitably extend beyond trade policies, reigniting fears of global inflation. For the auto industry, the timing couldn't be worse. Supply chains, still recovering from pandemic woes and geopolitical crises, would face new strains, especially in procuring EV-critical components like semiconductors and batteries. This perfect storm would delay EV production and adoption, leaving buyers with fewer choices and higher costs. Many consumers might abandon sustainable options altogether, choosing affordability over eco-consciousness. As if that's not enough, escalating trade tensions could discourage much-needed investments in EV manufacturing. Without stable supply chains, the sector's growth could grind to a halt. imperiling the delicate balance of innovation and expansion needed to drive the EV revolution. Number 3. American energy infrastructure under pressure. As the world's largest producer of oil and LNG, the US is already flexing its energy muscles with record exports to Europe. Yet meeting Trump's demands for even higher sales would require significant investment in infrastructure, including new LNG terminals and increased drilling operations. For the automotive industry, this shift in energy priorities could have ripple effects. On one hand, cheaper domestic energy might reduce manufacturing costs for US automakers. On the other, rising domestic energy prices, driven by supply constraints, could tighten consumer budgets, making big-ticket purchases like EVs less appealing. The trade-off is a tricky one. Expanding fossil fuel infrastructure could alienate environmentally conscious consumers and investors while clashing with global climate goals. The automotive sector, deeply intertwined with these dynamics, finds itself navigating a delicate balance between economic growth and environmental responsibility. Number 2. Trade war tensions and their global fallout. The EU faces a difficult choice in responding to Trump's energy demands. Negotiation could lead to concessions, while retaliation might result in tariffs on emblematic US exports like Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Levi's jeans. History suggests such disputes often spiral into broader trade wars, leaving businesses and consumers caught in the crossfire. For the automotive sector, the stakes couldn't be higher. A full-blown trade conflict would spell trouble for European brands reliant on the US market and American automakers seeking access to Europe. Innovation would slow, supply chains would falter, and the rollout of new EV models could grind to a halt. Beyond immediate losses, a trade war could reshape global markets. Emerging players like China might seize the opportunity to dominate the EV and energy sectors, leaving the US and Europe struggling to maintain influence. As market dynamics shift, the ability of these regions to lead the charge towards sustainable mobility could be severely compromised. Number 1. EVs at the crossroads. Electric vehicles find themselves at the heart of this geopolitical clash. Tariffs, rising costs, and disrupted supply chains risk slowing the EV revolution on both sides of the Atlantic. Yet there's potential for this crisis to drive innovation. Automakers might accelerate domestic production, explore alternative energy sources, and adopt advanced manufacturing techniques to counteract trade uncertainties. Collaboration between the US and Europe on battery technology and EV infrastructure could transform this challenge into an opportunity, positioning both as leaders in the race for cleaner transportation. The push for energy independence and sustainability might also prompt governments and automakers to forge new partnerships, fostering innovation in the EV sector. However, achieving this requires a unified vision and coordinated efforts to navigate the turbulent waters of global trade and energy policy. Verdict: Trump's tariff gamble, a defining moment for mobility. Trump's tariff standoff with the EU is a turning point in the world of trade, energy, and mobility. Will this lead to a regression in global cooperation, or could it ignite a new era of innovation? The automotive industry and the EV revolution hang in the balance. Now, let's hear from you. What do you think this means for the future of the automotive sector and sustainable mobility? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit and hit the notification bell for your regular dose of vehicle updates and industry insights. Thanks for joining us. See you on the road ahead.